Assalamualaikum. Today we are going to discuss a fluid mosaic model. But before that, we discuss fluid mosaic model. We should understand the behavior of phospholipids in water. As we have already discussed the structure of phospholipids, a phospholipid molecule, it consists of a phospholipid molecule consists of a polar head and two non-polar tails. Okay, so polar here means a molecule that has charge on it. Okay, so that has positive or negative poles on it, or positive or negative charges on it, is known as a polar molecule. So do you see here it has a negative charge here on this end, so this part is called polar, and these two fatty tails do not have any charge on it, so these are known as non-polar. You already know water is also a polar molecule. If we look at an H2O, H2O any water molecule is also a polar molecule. A polar molecule has a charge on it. In a water molecule, oxygen has a negative charge on it. Whereas two hydrogen attached with it by sharing of electrons have positive charges on them, wherein oxygen has partial negative charge on it. So water is a polar molecule. It has ability to dissolve polar molecules, or it can make hydrogen bonding with other polar molecules. So polar molecules are soluble in water, so that's why they are called hydrophilic. Hydro stands for water. Hydro stands for water. And philic stands for affinity or attraction. So the polar head has an attraction for water or affinity for water, whereas non-polar tails are insoluble in water. So they are called hydrophobic. Hydrophobic stands for water hating. Due to this nature of phospholipid molecules, the phospholipid molecules show a specific behavior with water. One part of the phospholipid molecule is soluble in water, and other part of the phospholipid molecule is insoluble in water. So let's see, if we put a phospholipid molecule in water, So how would it arrange itself in water? Let's see behavior of phospholipids in water. If I take a small amount of water in a beaker, this is for instance a beaker, this is for instance a beaker. Put water into it. And then we place some phospholipid molecules into it. The phospholipid molecules would arrange themselves in such a way that their hydrophilic heads will be dissolved in water and their tails will be projected out of the water. Okay. So these polar heads can make hydrogen bonding with water, so they are dissolved in water due to their hydrophilic nature, as we discussed earlier. That water is polar molecule, water is polar, and these heads of the phospholipid molecules are also polar. So these polar dissolve in polar, whereas the tails are non-polar, or you can say they are hydrophobic. So they are arranged in such a way that they are away from the water. So the phospholipid molecules arrange on the surface of water in such a way that their heads are in the water and the tails are projecting out of the water, and this makes a layer of phospholipids. This layer of phospholipids is known as phospholipid monolayer. Mono stands for single, or layer means they are arranged in a one layer or in a single layer. Now let's see, if we put large amount of phospholipids in water, for instance we have this beaker filled with water, and we place large amount of phospholipids into it, and this water is shaken gently. So phospholipid molecules would arrange themselves in such a way in the water that their hydrophilic heads are outwards and their tails are facing inwards of this globular shape. Okay, so this is a spherical shape, and this spherical shape is known as micelle. So this is micelle. A micelle includes phospholipids are arranged to make a sphere or a globular shape in such a way that hydrophilic heads are outwards and hydrophobic tails are inwards of the globule. In an animal cell, however, if we just look at this in an animal cell, there is cytoplasm on inside, and there may be tissue fluid on outer side. Both of these fluids, cytoplasm and the tissue fluid, they contain water in them. So there is water on inside a cell and there is a water on outside of a cell. So how could these phospholipid molecules be arranged in this cell surface membrane? If we enlarge this structure, and view under an electron microscope, we can see the phospholipids are arranged in a bilayer. They are arranged in a bilayer in such a way that their polar heads are outwards, facing towards water, facing towards the tissue fluid and facing towards cytoplasm, whereas their tails are facing towards each other. Okay? So these phospholipid molecules are held in such a way that they make two layers, and this is known as phospholipid bilayer. In this phospholipid bilayer, polar heads are directed outwards, so they make these are polar heads, make hydrogen bonding with water on outside, whereas these non-polar tails, hold each other by hydrophobic interaction, and they also provide a hydrophobic barrier